Hi everyone, in this video we're going to look at a new eyeshadow palette that Makeup Forever has just released. It is called the Let's Gold palette. It is available for purchase through Sephora and Makeup Forever's website directly if you'd like to go there. As always, make sure you check the description box for a link to where you can find this palette for purchase and a link to Ebates so that if you aren't already, you can sign up to get cash back on any online order that you make. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button and go follow Allura on Instagram at Allura_beauty. And finally, I'll put a link in the upper right hand corner for the latest video so that you can view that if you missed it. All right, let's get looking at swatches and a review for Makeup Forever's Let's Gold palette. This palette retails for $45. It is a limited edition palette, so it has not been added to the permanent Makeup Forever line. The palette has 18 earth tone eyeshadows with matte, metal, and chrome finishes. And Makeup Forever says that this is a pro quality palette. These shadows have what they say is an atomized pigment formula that provides exceptionally buildable payoff and blendability. I don't really know what that means to have an atomized pigment. If you know what it means, please feel free to make a comment in the comment section below regarding that. The palette also includes pro tutorials to help you achieve the looks that they recommend. So this is what the outside of the palette looks like. A pretty palette embossed with gold lettering. It's made of very sturdy cardboard. It has a magnetic closure and you open it up. There is a good sized mirror in the lid, and then you have your 18 eyeshadow shades in uniform and equally sized pans. The vibe I get from this palette is very holiday-esque. Let me know if you agree or if you get a different vibe from this, but when I look at this palette, I envision it as a release for the holiday season, and so in that sense it seems a little bit out of place, but that's just my impression. Here are your eyeshadow shades. You have the name of each color underneath the corresponding pan. And as always on this channel, I will apply these or swatch these with an eyeshadow brush from Sigma over eyeshadow primer. And one thing to note is that these rows are divided into the finishes. So the top row is the mattes row. The middle row is the metal finish shades, and then the bottom row is the chrome finish shades. In the box where the palette comes, you also get this, and these are the tutorials that were described just a minute ago. So you'll take these cards, you will open them up like this. If you turn them around, they have this suggested look where they describe step by step what you should be doing and what shades you should use. And what's interesting is that the cutout is something you lay over the palette, and these are the shades that you are supposed to be using to create this look here. So this look here is labeled Dazzling Contrast and utilizes those three shades that we just saw. This next look looks like it's called the Precious Crease look, and these are the three shades that they suggest you use. It looks like it's a kind of cut crease look. And finally you have a golden smoky look. These shades to be used. I both appreciate the inclusion of this for the mass consumer and think it's a bit odd because in my mind Makeup Forever is really a pro brand. To me it's kind of like maybe Viseart is a good modern day comparison. So they are not to me a brand that I think of when I think of a mass consumer. I don't think of them as a brand that does a lot of PR marketing and things like that. I think of them more as a professional brand. So I was surprised when a palette came out at all. And apparently Makeup Forever has previously released one or two eyeshadow palettes and I just can't remember what they looked like or what they were. But it surprised me that they came out with a palette like this anyway, but then on top of that, to include something like this, to me, I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think it's surprising to have something targeted to what seems like newer or maybe not as experienced makeup appliers, to have a guide like this when the brand typically is seen as targeting more professional makeup users, if that makes sense. First up, we are swatching the shade Pure, and this is a matte off-white or cream. Second is the shade Mine, and this is a matte medium neutral brown. Third is Digger, and this is a matte kind of dirty green olive shade. Fourth is Soil, and this is a kind of camel brown, so it's kind of a slightly warm toned yellow undertoned brown. Fifth is Wealthy. This is another warm toned brown. It's a deeper shade and more kind of orange to red toned. And sixth, to finish up the first row, is Lavish. And this is a matte plum, but it's kind of like a dusty, slightly grayed out plum. So up close, there is your first row of eyeshadows, all matte finishes. These all have great color to them, and I noticed when applying the brush to my skin to do the swatch, they all glided on really, really effortlessly. You don't have to really dig into the pan. You don't have to do a lot of layering to get a nice opaque, smooth layer of color. So definitely a good matte formula on these shades. Moving on to row 2, these are the metallic finish shades. So we're first going to swatch Hot Shot. And this shade is a metallic pale champagne. Second is Famed. And this is a very yellow toned gold. Third is Bouillon. And this is a metallic green olive, much like with the matte shade, but of course with a different finish. Fourth is Trophy. And this is a metallic golden peach. Fifth is Smelted. And this is an interesting shade. It's like a coral, but it's almost a duochrome. It has flashes of orange more at the base, but then the shimmer is more red. And sixth is Jewelry. And this is a very pale, frosty, peachy pink. And those are your 6 metallic finish shades. Again, nice color on these. I will say that I think the mattes actually applied even more smoothly and effortlessly than the metallic shades. And moving on to our bottom row, these are all the chrome finish shades. We start with Precious. And this is interesting. It's a super pale gold. So it's kind of like a frosty white at the base with gold shimmer. Second is going to be Fortune. And this is a light to medium brown at the base with plentiful gold shimmer. Third is going to be Treasure. And this is like a deep hunter green with a gold sheen. Fourth is Glorious. This is kind of like a cocoa brown shade with gold shimmer. fifth is Ingenious. And this is a pumpkin shade with a gold sheen. And last is Molten. And this is a rose pink shade with a sheen. Can't tell if it's, I think it's more of a silvery sheen. All right, so those are your 6 chrome finish shades. I really like this formula, and these shades are a little more multi-dimensional. You have a base shade and then the shimmer that isn't quite 100% part of the base shade, which creates on some of them more of almost a duochrome flash, although not quite. On others, it creates more of a sheen, and on others, it's more of a shimmer. So I really like this row of shades. There's the Let's Gold palette from Makeup Forever. I am surprisingly very intrigued by this palette. It is a neutrals palette. It's called a neutrals palette, but I think there's actually a lot more dimension to this than what meets the eye when you're just looking at the palette. The first row is really good quality matte shades, like I said. They apply smoothly and easily without much effort. The middle shade, I would say, actually was the least effortless, although I don't want you to confuse what I'm saying because these are not bad formulas. They're not bad shades by any means. The formula for the metallic shades, they are more of a shimmer to the consistency as opposed to an underlying really creamy eyeshadow, if that makes sense. Of the 3 finishes, they are the most shimmer based, and they don't glide on quite as smoothly as either the mattes or the chrome finish colors. The chrome finish shades are noticeably more creamy and like buttery to the texture, and when you're swiping them, they go on with a thicker consistency, and you can just feel that they're much more buttery. They have more body to them, and they have the most interesting finishes to them, with the metallics interacting with the underlying eyeshadow formula. And if you look at the color story here, I really like the way that Makeup Forever has done this. You can see that each row has 6 shades, and the first colors in each row are in very much the same family. The second shades for each row, again, are in the same family. The third row of shades are, you know, in the family of kind of khaki-ish olive greens. The fourth, same thing. The fifth, you get kind of this more orangey reddish undertone. And then the sixth pairing or trio of shades is this more pinky toned family of shades. So I think that this is a very beautifully thought out palette. I am impressed not just by the quality, but also the entire thinking behind the palette, the different finishes and how they're all paired together. I am very impressed by the palette in more ways than just the quality of the shades. And I'm not usually someone who really cares about color story or the pairing of colors, but I can see how this palette was thought out, and I really appreciate it and think it was done well. And if you're someone, of course, who hasn't bought a neutrals palette in a long time and you've kind of been thinking about maybe purchasing one, I think this is a great candidate. So please share with me your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope this video was helpful to you and that you liked it. If you did and have a couple seconds, please give the video a thumbs up. As always, I appreciate you so much taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you in the next one.